Hello, everyone. Today is September 10th, 2020, and I call to order the annual meeting of the CATV Special Committee. I would like to welcome each of you and ask those of you on the call to please be sure to mute your devices while not speaking. Out of an abundance of caution and pursuant to recommendation from federal, state, and local health agencies regarding avoiding group gatherings, and due to COVID-19 coronavirus, this meeting is a teleconference meeting. I'll now take the roll call of the board in attendance. When I say your name, please say present.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry to interrupt. This is Terry Costonis with legal.
Yes.
So that actually does have to be adopted as a motion in terms of the meeting being held electronically.
All right. So I would motion that this is a electronic meeting of the CAT Special Committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes.
Second.
The motion should also state that the business of the committee is essential and that it's necessary to meet electronically to protect public health and safety due to the COVID-19 pandemic, to comply with the governor's order.
Okay, do I have a motion for that request?
So moved is Tim Garrett.
Thank you, Ted. Is that Tim?
Seconded. Tim, yeah.
Sorry, Tim. All right, thank you so much, legal. I'll now take the roll call of the board members in attendance, and when I say your name, please say present. Tim Garrett.
Present.
Robbie Melton. I thought I heard Robbie.
This is Robbie Melton.
Hi, girl. Gotcha.
Life is good.
Anthony Barton.
Present.
Mark Rowan.
Present.
Susan Wright. I saw Susan on there. I can't hear her.
Present.
And excuse me for not pronouncing this correctly. Pie or pay?
It's Pal. I do not see him on the call.
Thank you. The board must vote. We do have a quorum, I believe.
Yes, we do.
The board must vote on the record that the COVID-19 pandemic requires us to hold a telephonic meeting as permitted under the governor's executive order number 16. Do I have a motion to hold a telephonic meeting?
This is Terry again. I apologize. I think I jumped the gun. That's the same motion I think we just did.
It is, but I just wanted to make sure I covered it. All right, so we do have that already voted on. Let's see what we have next. All right, let's now review the minutes from our last meeting. That would be on April 22nd, 2019. Are there any changes or corrections that need to be addressed? Can I have a motion that the minutes be accepted?
Tim Garrett, I move the minutes be accepted as written.
Second. Second.
With the motion properly seconded, we will take a roll call vote. Please say aye or nay when I call your name. Tim Garrett.
Aye.
Robbie Melton.
Aye.
Anthony Barton.
Aye.
Mark Rowan.
Aye.
Susan Wright.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carries. Thank you. Motion carries. The next order of business is the election of the officers, and I would like to inform the committee members that this will be my final meeting as your member of the president of CATV's committee. Nominations for position of chairman. Do we have any recommendations, nominations? At this time, would anybody like to give us a nomination? What do you say, Craig?
I'll make the nomination for Tim Garrett.
All right, we have a nomination for Tim Garrett. Seeing all, is this all in favor? I say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, nobody opposes. We now need a nomination for a vice chairman. So Tim Garrett, you are chairman of the CAT Special Committee.
Great.
Do we
I
have
thought-
Nominate
congratulations?
Barton.
Then I wouldn't have that happen.
May I please have a nomination for the position of vice chairman?
I recommend Susan Wright.
Does anyone oppose? Seeing no, do I need to give it more time, Susan?
So,
I think we're limited.
Yeah, I do not see any opposition, so that motion will carry. Is everyone in favor of Susan Wright being our vice chairman of the CATV Special Committee?
aye.
Aye.
Awesome.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Congratulations, Susan. You are now vice chairman of the CATV Special Committee.
Thank you.
I would like to now turn this meeting over to our new chairman, Tim Garrett.
Oh, great. I'm trying to do this off of my little phone. I can't even see anybody.
You're doing great, Tim. I can hear you.
Yeah. Well, all right. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. For whatever reason, my the system at the office is not allowing me. Okay, now I do see Robbie.
Life is good.
I can't see. I don't see anybody else. But in any event, let's move on to the next item of business. I guess the next item of business, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is the annual Comcast presentation.
That's correct.
Are we ready for that presentation? Whoever the representative is from Comcast.
Yes, this is Kim Hayden, and I'm here and ready.
All right, please. Yes, proceed.
All right. So this is, as you all know, this is our 2019 annual report. So we'll recap our events from last year. So Chris, if you'll move to the next slide. So just as a recap in numbers, Comcast video subscribers in 2019 was a little over 111,000. We paid Metro Nashville $7.1 million in franchise fees in 2019 and 400,000 in PEG support. And just before we move on, a couple of things. Comcast has more than 880 employees who live or work in Metro Nashville, just as a level set for everyone. And I know this is the 2019 report, and certainly we'll talk about this next year, but I did want to just briefly mention both the tornado and the derecho that happened, which affected obviously our services and our community. So as a result of the March tornado, more than 70,000 people lost power, and almost as many of our customers were without service. So our network maintenance teams worked very, very quickly. We brought service all across the country. We had over 100 technicians that came in from across the country to help. And in less than 2 weeks, our team completed repairs to 65,000 customers. We had 22 miles of aerial plant that we had to repair, and 2,300 service drops that we had to repair or replace. So quite a bit of work that our team was able to do very, very quickly to make sure everybody was back up and running just in time to be sheltered in place at home. Additionally, during the tornado, Comcast also opened up about 8,500 Wi-Fi hotspots around Metro Nashville in places where folks needed to have access and they didn't have power at their homes. We did that. We also had a mobile van that we brought in, and we parked that in Germantown for several days, mobile Wi-Fi van where people could, come to the vicinity, be able to connect, do things like, upload and insurance pictures and everything like that. So we were happy to provide that service. Then we got hit again in May with the derecho. As you guys remember, almost all of our outages there were related to power outages. I think NES had over 250,000 at one point that were without power during that time, and that affected a large number of our customers as well. And our team worked quickly to repair the damage, to deploy generators. We were able to get everyone back up and running from that as well. So I know this is the 2019, but so much is happening in 2020. I just wanted to mention that. And then Chris, if you'll go to the next slide. I also couldn't give this presentation without talking about the COVID-19 pandemic and Comcast's response to that. So early on, obviously Comcast realized that keeping the internet accessible and reliable was more important than ever as everyone was staying home. So we did a couple of things very quickly. First, we upped the speed of our Internet Essentials product. So as you guys may remember from some previous meetings, our Internet Essentials product is a product for low-income families. It's $9.95 a month for families to have access to high-speed internet. And so for all of our customers who were on Internet Essentials, we increased the speeds that they were getting because we knew there would be more folks at home, more folks using it. And so we did that. We also had a promotion that started for any new customers who signed up that they would get 60 days, 2 months free service. That promotion is still in effect and will last through the end of this year. It was one of those kind of moving targets. It was originally, going to last through the end of the end of May, and then it was extended to the end of June, and now it's just been extended through the end of the year. Another thing that we did there was we also opened up all of our Wi-Fi hotspots across the country. All of our public Wi-Fi hotspots are now free and open for anyone to access. So previously you would have had to have been a customer or enter your email address, and maybe you could get two free hours if you weren't a customer. But now those are open and available, and you don't have to enter information to get those. And there's about 13,000 of those in Metro Nashville that are now open and available to folks. Obviously our network performance extremely important to us during this time. We saw about a 32% increase in usage from mid-March to late May, obviously with everybody being home, but our network was built for this. It was made to handle it. Our team does over 700,000 diagnostic speed tests across the nation on most days. So our network has performed and held up very, very well. So we're very proud of that. And then a couple of other things. We have 3 Xfinity retail stores in Metro Nashville. So those were closed, and then they have now reopened, but they do have extra precautions in place. Customers can sign up for a time. They can come in when it's their time. They can wait in their car until then. We obviously have sanitizers and all of the protective equipment for our employees. And our technicians have changed, throughout this pandemic, how they are operating. We were at one time limiting our technicians to only being able to go into someone's home if all of their services were down. And so we were doing limited home visits. We were dropping off equipment for self-installations. We are now back to doing more home visits with our team wearing their protective equipment and following guidelines when they're in the homes. So we've been taking this very seriously. Most of our employees who would consider office employees are not back in the office, and we are not going to be in any of our offices at least through the end of this year. And it's something the company is taking very, very, very carefully and taking slowly as we get back and start changing. And the other thing that I'll mention, we did for a time up until July, we were not disconnecting any customers' data services, their internet services. And we've now have extensive payment plan options available to folks. So folks are not being disconnected at this point. We are working with them to help them get on a plan to get back. We understand people have incurred losses, so we're helping people change plans and doing that. We also, during COVID, we're just trying to figure out how much people were actually using their data. So we did suspend all of our data caps for several months. And on July 1st, when our data caps came back, we extended that to 1.2 terabytes. And so we noticed even with the COVID usage that it was the same folks who had been, reaching that limit, were reaching that limit, and other people were not. So it's less than 5% of our customers ever nationally ever reach that limit. And I'll say I've been watching it myself just to see. My husband and I are both working from home, doing video calls. We've got 2 kids that are schooling from home virtually, 2 MNPS students that are schooling from home virtually. And they also are on games all the time when they're not schooling. And we haven't come close to reaching it. So that 1.2 terabyte is really, really high data. So forgive me for talking about all of that right now, but I did just want to mention all the things that we're dealing with in 2020, as well as everything that went on in 2019. So Chris, if you want to move. So commitment to customer service, as we've talked about in several of these meetings, that's something that the company is very committed to working time. We're up to 97% on-time arrival for our service appointments. We do offer credits if we miss those. Our My Account app now gives folks lots of updates as to when the technician is coming. We have a ton of self-service options with our My Account app or Xfinity.com. Folks can use their voice remote on their TV to troubleshoot issues, to restart. So definitely meeting the customers where they are and working with all of those digital tools as well. If you want to move to the next slide. So as always, we always like to talk about our commitment to the community as well. So in 2019, Comcast invested more than $1 million in Metro Nashville through foundation grants, scholarships, our employee giving campaign, and local funding and sponsorships. We also mobilized more than 1,000 volunteers across 19 Davidson County sites for our annual Comcast Cares Day. It's called the day, but it was actually 6 weeks of projects that started in April of 2019 and went through May. So we're very proud of that. So here on the next slides are just a few of the things that we did in 2019. In January, we had the C-SPAN bus came to visit Antioch High School and CSU. We also held an information session for nonprofits about our Comcast Cares Day to let them know of the opportunity to have volunteers to come help them. And there's also a grant with that. In February, Comcast was one of the companies that was highlighted, and we spoke during the executive order signing with Mayor David Briley when he extended that LGBT businesses would be part of the procurement process for metros. We're proud of that. In February, we worked with Legacy Mission Village, which is a fantastic nonprofit that supports our refugee community, and we were able to open a mobile computer lab there. We'll go to the next page. Got a couple more. Won't take up too much of your time. We also work with John Overton High School. We're a pencil partner there with the IT Academy. So we provide mentors. We hosted a teacher development panel in February. In March, we had some employees who were nominated as community champions, and they were each able to give laptops to nonprofits and And so we had a ceremony to celebrate them giving away laptops, which was really fun. There's a picture of one of our Comcast Cares Day projects. That project was actually at Nashville State Community College. We helped refurbish all of the planting at their greenhouse, which was a lot of fun. And then in June of 2019, we were able to partner with Discovery. So on all of their television channels, they brought in over 100 of their employees from across the country to Nashville. We participated in 3 days of a Habitat for Humanity build, which was great. In June, we worked with the Urban League. They have a summer academy. So we did some mentoring, and you'll see there's a picture of one of our network techs showing them how they go up in the bucket truck and all that happens there. So these are some great young men that we're learning about STEM occupations. We also, in July, gave away our Leaders and Achievers Scholarship. So there's a picture of that. That picture from November was from our Comcast Cares Day grant celebration. We gave a little over $36,000 in grants to nonprofits who participated in Comcast Cares Day projects with us in 2019. And then the last picture there is a picture from December where we got to do what's really fun. It's called Festive Fleet. And we were able to give out some special surprises to some of our customers. And there we worked with MDHA to give out some iPads and televisions to some of their residents. And that's us giving a television to one of their residents. So that was fun. And then here are all the fun numbers from 2019. So you'll see there the first shows all of our service calls, and walking through that, those are, we kind of put them in categories. So customer education meant that the customer, they weren't doing something right, and we helped them establish that. Customer premise equipment means that something inside, like their modem or something like that, was not working. Inside line issue is something with the inside of the house. Business circuits is were our business customers. No access or no one home meant that we went there, we didn't find anybody, so we had to come back. So those are kind of counted twice in our service calls. Outside line issue is that we had an issue with something outside, one of the aerial lines or something outside of the lines going to the home. Recall correction, that's great. We were able to help the customer fix their issue before we got to their house and had to send a tech to their house. We had a few that had billing or rate code issues, which meant that something in our system was not working correctly, and a few that had some additional escalations where our techs, once they went out, had to refer those to that. So in total, in Metro Nashville and for 2019, we had a little over 45,000 service calls, and that represents about 17% of our customers. And then you can see the outages. These are the outages from January 1st to December 31st, 2019. Broken down by community, and then the average minute to repair. So these outages are everything from power outages to any planned outages that had to happen, and any repairs that had to happen. So there's that, and then the written complaints on the bottom. Those are what comes from the Nashville Cable Television website. So any complaints that come through your website to us, we push through and do our best to take care of those within 24 hours. You'll see we had, billing and rates was a big issue. And then also any construction or down lines as related to storms. Next year, that number will probably look much higher next year due to all of the storms and all the storm damage that we encountered. But there are about 34 written complaints total that came through the website in 2019. And so that's basically my report. I'm happy to take any questions that the committee has.
Thank you, Ms. Hayden. Anybody have any questions?
I do. Kim, how many customers do you have on the Internet Essentials program, or that $9.95?
I need to look that up and I can share that with you. They have not been sharing numbers with us recently because there's been such a high increase. And so it's been a while since we've been able to get new numbers, but I can share that with Chris to send back to you all.
That'd be great.
But yes, our group that's doing that was so busy updating it and changing it and getting everyone newly acclimated that they haven't been able to get numbers to us. But we're hoping that they're going to get them to us very soon.
Hi, this is Wendy Melton. I would like to make a comment.
Sure.
Being with the education system, universities, schools, etc., I have to commend Comcast. And I'm always one to be very critical of Comcast. But for COVID-19 and the fact that you all were able to maintain the surge of people, students, school system, universities online without any major hiccups or breakdown, I commend the company.
Yeah, thank you. We're I'm very proud of all of our network folks and our technicians. They have been working extremely hard, and anytime we get an escalation, we're working very quickly to get it fixed because we know how important it is for everyone right now. I probably spent the most time after the derecho in May dealing with, and Chris can probably let you know, our numbers in terms of the emails went up very high just because power was out everywhere. It was out at my house for 6 days. We were without power at my house for 6 days during that. But that's something that we worked extremely hard on, and I'm very, very proud of our network team. And overall nationwide, our system proved that it could handle the capacity and even more. So very proud that we've got a system that's built for the future. So thank you.
Tim, you're currently muted.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll figure it out about the time we're done. But thank you, Ms. Hayden, for the presentation, and to repeat Ms. Melton's commendation for Comcast. Thank you for the service to the community during this really challenging pandemic. The next item on the agenda, it looks like from my screen, is the COVID-19 effects on PEG Studio, NECAT, and MNN.
That's right. So I'm Chris Singleton, the division manager for MNN and PEG. And I thought it'd be a good idea just to start and kind of tell you a little bit about what's going on with us during the COVID-19 House of Fun. All right, so we're going to start with the PEG Studio. On March the 16th, under the direction of Mayor John Cooper and the COVID-19 Task Force, we halted meetings who asked us to halt meetings and gatherings of 10 or more people. Metro ITS made the decision to close the studio located on the campus of Nashville State Community College. It's a closing that we had hoped would only be for a few weeks. However, we're now 6 months later, and we have still not reopened the studio. We are in Metro ITS is in contact with Nashville State and their own COVID task force. They've expressed us that they would prefer that we wait until they reopen to reopen the studio once they've hit phase 4. They are currently in phase 2, basically in lock and step with the city's reopening plan. So we're really looking forward to getting it back open, but right now we've had to keep everything closed moving forward. NECAT has had some major adversity over the last 17 months since this committee was last convened. Financially, NECAT fell in some hard times with a grant that they had applied for from the city, was not awarded, and it left them short on operation cash. The CEO for the past 5 years had resigned, and the recently, or at that time, newly hired Director of Content Membership Relations, Cameron, he kind of had to step in and take over all her responsibilities. And this was like his second week on the job. And he's done a phenomenal job, while everything's been closed. The funding for NECAT is done generally in 3 ways. They fundraise, they apply for grants, and then they also have some NECAT membership and class fees that go towards, their budget. With the studio being closed, they have had really no monies that have been collected from the membership or classes. However, they have seen some promising things from some grants that they've applied for, and they are currently awaiting to see if they will be receiving an operational grant from their longtime supporter, the DeGoff Family Trust. That trust is meeting, they may have just met, so we should be finding out soon if they're going to get that trust, that grant. Even with the grant, I think the NECAT board, along with ITS, I think it's very important that we just start looking at maybe a different business model, so that when they're short on cash, we can continue the finances. Short on cash, we can continue to operate the studio and the channels without any shortages or any issues, I guess.
Chris, what's going on with the monies that comes from Comcast?
So the Comcast money is for capital improvements only. It's not available for operations. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting to that. That's coming. That's okay. A couple slides from now.
Okay.
So MNN, real quick. So we've been very busy with MNN, and for you that don't know, MNN is the Metro government's access channel. We cover all the meetings and as well as other things for the city. And to say that we've been busy is kind of an understatement. In December 2019, we launched our second online-only channel, MNN2. The goal of the addition was to add a medium in which Metro could become even more transparent to the citizens. During our last meeting, this committee approved our request for $60,000 to purchase equipment that would allow us the ability to go live from two separate meetings in two separate buildings at the exact same time. Little did we know what kind of impact that would have once the coronavirus took hold. With the PEG studio closed, we repurposed 2 of our 3 full-time employees that work over there all the time. They're now with us during this pandemic. Before COVID, MNN was approximately doing 17 government meetings a month, plus 14 council committee meetings. I recently did a research to find out what our output is after COVID. 49. We've been doing 49, averaging 49 meetings per month, as well as the council committee meetings. So our group has been, kind of running around with our hair caught on fire. We've been able to handle it pretty well. We were lucky that we had opened up that second channel. It's been very beneficial for the city. And so everything was going great. And then as you'll recall, there was a peaceful protest here at the historic courthouse downtown. And after that protest the peaceful protest was over, we had some riots. During the riots, a few individuals felt it was their right to destroy government property and proceeded to set the courthouse on fire. Although the fire was quickly contained by Nashville Fire Department, the offices of MNN did not. We did escape the initial fires, but with the deluge of water that was used to put out the flames upstairs, it all came down here. So if you've seen the boxes behind me, we're we're still kind of in limbo, moving back and forth. But our offices were completely destroyed. We were lucky in the sense that because of the coronavirus, we had already moved a lot of equipment into different buildings to kind of keep us going. The new equipment that we just purchased from last year's meeting it's all over at OEM. So we were lucky in a sense that the majority of our stuff, the high-end stuff, was not in this location. So we didn't suffer huge damages to that, but we did take on some issues, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to tell you all how proud I was of my team, because they've really stepped up. Most people don't know that our officers are here. Most people don't know that we're right underneath where everything was on fire. And, our offices were destroyed, and we just kept plugging away. If you all were in our office right now, it's not very pretty. It's pretty nasty looking over here, with the exception of our carpet, because they did put in new carpet. But everything else is water soaked, and it's been frustrating, but you do what you got to do. So I'm going to go ahead and move into the capital franchise fee, or the franchise fund now. Just want to review real quick on what we asked for last year. We started 2019 with a balance of $987,949, and that included the balance from last year plus the income that we got from Comcast and AT&T and Google and United. The MNN proposed an allocation of $60,000 to purchase the production equipment that would allow us the ability to go live from 2 separate locations. The PEG Studio proposal last year was for $134,000, $30,000 of which, if you remember, we asked for emergency use only for the building. And that was kind of if we need it, we'll use it, but hopefully we won't need it. And then we asked for $104,000 to do 3 major studio upgrades. And those upgrades included the control room at the studio, the audio equipment, and the studio lighting. So the total allocation request last year was for $194,000, and that would have left us with a capital fund balance of $793,949. This is what we actually spent. So again, we'll start with the $987,949. The total cost to purchase the equipment for the additional channel MNN2 came in just over $54,000. It was basically purchased a second mobile production unit, which if any of you all have been at home and watched the mayor's COVID-19 press briefings in the last 6 months, then you've seen this equipment in action. When this pandemic was declared, mass gatherings were prohibited. More than 10 people in a given location. So once you bring in the media, you're going to be well above that 10 people. So MNN has been the sole outlet for these briefings, and they were carried on all 4 of the local affiliates for months after months. And I think within the last month, they've kind of tailed off, and we're down to one a week, and we'll be happy when we're down to none. So as for the PEG Studios proposal, we ended up spending roughly $87,400 on the 3 phases of the upgrade. So well above what we expected, or well below what we expected, excuse me. And we had hoped not to touch that $30,000. It was designated as an emergency building fund. However, we did have to use some. We had a black water situation that resulted in about $8,000 worth of replacement flooring. And then, as is the case, it's happened I don't know how many times in the 4 years that I've been in this role, but but we had yet another roof leak that cost about $7,000. We're happy that we could at least put half of that money back. So 15,000 went back in, or actually, I guess it never came out. But where we thought we were going to spend 194,000, we ended up only spending 156,000, and that put the 2019 PEG capital fund balance at 831,412. I'm going to pause right here for any questions. If anybody has any questions about the projected or actuals.
Yeah, anybody have any questions for Mr. Singleton?
Cool. All right, let's move on. Okay, so we bring that balance over the 831,412. We have already received the money from Comcast, 200,000. We received 16,800 from AT&T. United Communications, very small part of the pie. Theirs was 200, and Google was just under 1,000. Now, so our total there is $218,041. And you may be thinking, wait a minute, last year the PEG support fund was over 235,000. Had it dropped this much? It's simple. Comcast had a really good year, and nobody else really did. There was a lot of drop in subscribers from the three other groups, and that right there is what caused the reduction. So with that income already in, our PEG capital fund is currently at $1,049,453. Any questions? Okay. All right, so that brings us to the proposal. In the wake of the unfortunate post-protest fire and the suppression of said fire, we ended up, like I said, we took a decent hit. We had 3 of our high-end editing workstations, which have been, they're damaged. They're not really powering up right now, so they're kind of out of use. We've turned those into the insurance company, and we're hoping that they'll cover it, but we're not 100% sure that's going to happen. These machines, I mean, they're lightning fast. And so everybody that was using our fast editing computers are now using loaner laptops, which we're appreciative of. But we have this like super fast processor in these editing machines. And now we're working on loaner laptops that only have about 8 gigabytes of RAM. So it works, but it's kind of like toasting bread with a magnifying glass. It's pretty slow. So we're requesting the sum of $25,000 to purchase 5 new editing workstations, laptops, and this purchase will allow my team to work and edit both from home and in the office without missing a beat. Like I said, we've submitted 3 workstations to insurance, and we haven't heard back. These machines that were damaged, they're 5 years old. We've had them for 5 years of service, and we had planned on upgrading them here in the next 2 years. So, it could have been worse. They could have been brand new and ruined. So, anyways, we're asking for the $25,000 to put us in the laptops, and anything that we get back from insurance will go towards that purchase, and we'll return the money we don't use back to the fund. Our second, I guess, request is the sum of $40,000 to purchase some equipment that'll help our head-in system work a little bit better. So most of our stuff was changed out 5 years ago when we changed from standard definition to high definition, and with the addition of the new channel, some of our equipment has taken a pretty good pounding, and we've seen a little bit of signs of diminishing functionality. For this reason, John Ferguson and myself are looking at a different direction to see how we can, better make our head ends talk to each other. We're currently in discussions with both our network engineers and a company called NewTek. NewTek makes the TriCasters line of video switchers, which is what we purchased last year for our second mobile unit. And they have a new it's a proprietary protocol that they use to send video over IP, and it has something to do with making the video the package smaller so it can go faster, and it's not going to mess up any of the I guess it'll help it move faster, and it won't deteriorate the signal any. So if our engineers give us the green light, which we're thinking they're going to, the necessary equipment to run this equipment is going to be in the neighborhood of $40,000. We've kind of toyed with this idea a little bit, and I don't know. There's some hoops we have to jump through with our engineers. If for some reason they come back and say it won't work, our backup plan would basically be to keep everything running the way we have it, and we would need to replace up to 6 of these devices that are encoder decoders, and each one of those devices $8,000. So we're hoping that they give us the thumbs up because it's cheaper than to replace all these devices. The only problem that we've really seen right now with the deterioration is these devices, encoders and decoders that talk to each other. There's one that's in our head-end system, and this thing has literally been running for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 5 years. And so that's the one that we were really seeing some functionality issues with. What we did was we've swapped that device out with the one that we purchased last year with the new equipment, and everything's working. We're up to speed. Everything's working like it's supposed to right now, but we're still planning on changing things up to make everything move a little bit faster and a little bit easier. So that's the ask for MNN. Does anybody have any questions about any of this?
Yeah, I do. Chris, do you have maintenance contracts around that too?
John, help me out. We don't have any maintenance contracts on that, do we? We have, usually when we buy new stuff, we'll get like a 3 or 4 year warranty. And then after that 3 or 4 years, if we need to change stuff out, we just kind of work with ITS and see what we can afford and what we can't afford. But usually our service contracts don't extend the entire period of the purchase.
Okay. And that's hardware only, right?
Correct.
No, what about software?
Software, we really haven't had any issues with software. I guess, John, can you elaborate on any of the software issues? What?
Yeah, so Susan, explain exactly, are you talking about the software from the list of equipment that Chris has on the screen?
Correct.
So that hardware actually does come with software pre-installed on it. So that is going to be, so the NewTek Spark encoders, the NewTek TriCaster, that has software preloaded onto it that is operated through web interfaces and other protocols that are easily configurable. So it's preloaded on that hardware.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we didn't have any surprises at the end.
Understood. Any other questions? All right. So the PEG Studio proposal, the only thing we're asking for this year is, again, the $30,000 general maintenance and upkeep. And that is a fund that, like I said, we hope we don't have to use. The plan is to not use it. The only reason we're asking for it is if there's a situation, if you let us have the $30,000 to make it to make any repairs necessary, then we won't have to reconvene the board and go through all the different issues. It's something, like I said, that we plan on not using. With the studio not being used right now, I can't imagine anything really breaking, but except maybe the roof. But
I have a legal question, or perhaps it's legal. Maybe Chris, you can answer. We allocated last year 30,000. You only used 15. Do you get to carry that over into the new year, or do we have to reallocate the 30 every year?
I think it's just. I think we're doing it just as a safety. I don't think we have to. We could carry that 15, but
because here's my question:
looking at
is since you didn't use 15 of the 30 last year, is this 30 really now 45?
No, it's not. So yes, for the 15,000 that we didn't use last year goes back into the fund.
Got it.
And so we're just asking for, basically, I've got a slide here at the end that kind of shows all this again, that might help out a little bit more.
So it doesn't stay allocated to this particular use. It goes back to the fund since it wasn't used.
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Correct.
So Chris, you're just really seeing this as a proposal for an emergency kind of fund that in the event we need to use it, we got it, and we don't have to come back and keep asking for money.
Exactly. And like I said, the plan is we don't have to touch it at all, and it just rolls back into the fund. So let's just look at the numbers real quick. Like I said, we have $1,049,453 in the fund right now, presently. MNN is asking for $65,000. That's the laptops and the head-end equipment. The PEG Studio is that general maintenance, I guess, safety money. So the total allocation is a $95,000 request. And if you all approve that, that will leave the PEG fund balance at $954,453. And real quick, I'm just going to jump to my next slide. This is, we introduced this last year, and it's just kind of a forecast, kind of showing you where we're sitting or where we're anticipating sitting. So originally, this projected income right here, we had set it at 35 last year. Well, with the change in Comcast subscribers, I looked at it and I said, you know what, we can't bank on 235,000 every year, so I kind of lowered it. But this is our current balance. This is the 218 that we've already received. We're asking for 95 to be allocated, which means the remainder, the 123,000, will be carried over, making our running balance this 954,453. Next year, the plan is the only request we're planning on right now for next year would be the 30,000 maintenance, backup money, safety money. That's actually for the next 2 years. The only thing we're really planning on. Everything else goes straight towards the money, towards the fund to build the studio. The plan would hopefully be to do 2021, but I have a sneaky suspicion that this coronavirus, since it's kind of put a halt on everything, it may end up pushing us back a little bit, which it's still good for us because, it allows us to accumulate more money in that account. We know that the Metro government is not going to help fund this at all. So everything that we're putting aside is basically going to be allocated towards that building. And the plan is to either renovate a current building or find something that we can move the studio into. Our current lease with Nashville State Community College is through 2025, and this forecast would get us out of there at the latest 2023, which is when the Comcast franchise agreement expires, and we'll sit down and renegotiate with Comcast moving forward. So the assumptions were changes in the cable industry. I dropped that to about 215 to expect 215. Anything else, anything above that is gravy. We'll continue asking for the 30,000 just to cover our maintenance if anything happens. And then that last year, that 2023, another price that's going to hit us is we'll be looking at MNN to replace at least 3 of our production switchers. The one here at the courthouse, the one at Howard Office Building, and then probably our primary mobile card. So does anybody have any questions? Fantastic.
I don't hear any questions. Are we ready to take action on these recommendations?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion that the proposal for funding from the capital fund balance as recommended be approved. I'll entertain that motion.
I motion
moved.
to.
I've heard both a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, let's all vote by saying aye.
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 And any opposed? Hearing no, here are all ayes. The motion carries. All right, so that's to the open business item C. Is there any new business for this committee?
I don't think there's any new business at this time. I do want to reiterate that hopefully next year we'll be able to meet in April again instead of pushing it down until September.
And in person.
And in person, yes. In fact, that's what we were hoping for. That's why we waited and waited. And then we got to where we had to do it by the end of this month or we would have ran out of time.
Well, we appreciate the effort of everybody to be able to meet in this way. I don't hear of any new business unless there's an objection. I would entertain a motion. We adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Yep.
And I hear too, I guess there's really not a vote other than just say bye.
Yes, second.
Thank you.
Stay
Thanks,
safe.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Great job.
Okay.
Bye-bye.